Bueno, ya el primer episodio tiene un blooper. Vamos a tratar de no tener blooper en este. Póngase serio, póngase serio.
Vamos a comenzar.
¿Pero qué es esto? Vio a tres gente. ¡Holy shit!
She hustles in Spanglish.
Bueno, bienvenidas y bienvenidos a She Hustles in Spanglish, el podcast donde celebramos las historias, talento y resiliencia de nuestras mujeres que brillan en diferentes espacios.
We are back for season 2, and we're so excited today because we have a special guest, someone who brings both wisdom and heart to work.
Awesome. So today's episode is all about growth, authenticity, and resilience. How we navigate personal journeys, embrace change, and rise again stronger than before, right? So, hoy tenemos
una invitada
especial.
Música. No efectos especiales. We gotta improvise.
Voy a comprar eso.
Hola, bienvenida.
Hola.
Bienvenida. So we're honored to welcome Dr. Wallesca Castro-Rodríguez Subašić, a bilingual-bicultural psychological associate dedicated to walking alongside people as they grow, change, rebuild, and embrace new possibilities. That was a lot. But she does a lot.
Yeah.
It's fancy. I love it.
Ella trabaja tanto en inglés como en español, apoyando individuos en procesos de trauma, identidad, estrés, crecimiento y muchas experiencias que forman parte de nuestras vidas. Así que estamos listos. Her passion is helping people discover their authentic selves, build confidence, and rise again, a message that matches perfectly with our theme today.
Oh, y el tema de hoy me encanta. Rise again from surviving to thriving. What a subject, huh?
Love it.
What about if we start with the questions? Let's put Dr. Wallesca here in the spot. Well, let's start simple. Tell us your story. What inspired you to pursue psychology and therapy?
Oh, that's good. No pressure. So I was always the friend who listened, like the good listener. Some of the things that I heard from clients was how, from friends and family, how I would use like metaphors to explain things. And it made a connection with emotions. Like a friend would be telling me something, and I'll be like, "Does it feel like this and this and this?" And they were like, "Oh, yeah." So that just gave me the idea of like, I can do this for, as a profession. Let's see what happened. So I started studying it. During the process, I got very interested into spirituality. So I took a break, and then everyone was like, "Oh, she's just gonna do, this other thing." And I was like, "No, not really. I was very, passionate and interested and curious about it." So after I came back and I finished a doctoral degree. Was a very interesting journey. It was in Puerto Rico because I'm born and raised in. It's it's always like very interesting because when I started grad school, you're working with you're working with different population during during the doctoral program. We used to work in different settings each year. Actually, each semester you could do like the whole year, or you could do a semester. They told me about me being able to do research at the same time that I would do, my classes, and so research I could do it as just like a normal service but then later on it became a job. And one of the things that I like, that I like about it, it was psychoncology, which was also very important and close
Yeah.
to my heart, because of my grandma, uh,
I know
mommy's
you
mom.
got a little bit of personal story there also on why you were very passionate. You are very passionate about therapy. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that if you can, if you want to share with
Yes,
us.
of course. So, Abuela Priscila, which is my middle name, um, Abuela Priscila was a very strong matriarchal, um, strong temperament, and always, the last word in the house. So, I feel like some of the grandkids were, we love her deeply, and at the same time we were very scary because her face will say everything all the time. So she got diagnosed and I was able to be with her in the process. I was in undergrad and I will come from San Juan to Ponce and help mommy taking care of her. So something happened in her journey, in her cancer journey. First, like getting the diagnosis, fighting it, and doing chemo, and then getting the news, which was interesting because I was there for each of them. Like the first time that she got the diagnosis, during the treatment, and then when she was in the hospital and the doctors, and the doctors came in and said, like, she was like, I'm not doing any more treatment. And they were like,
Mhm.
we don't recommend any more treatment. So in the process she became a different person.
Yeah.
She was more happy, she was more at peace, like something shift. And I was like, what's going on? Like, this is not the abuela that I know normally.
Mhm.
So in that process, I heard that she was actually doing therapy. And that for me was very powerful because, in our Latino community is something that, it's just get the whispers of therapy.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting, which fast forward, me working with research, me working with psychoncology, very involved and invested. My mentor and I one day were in California in a conference, and she asked me, she's like, why is psychoncology? Like, I've always wanted to know, like, what motivates you. And I was like, well, let me tell you about my grandma experience. So I started telling her, and she's like looking at me, and she's just nodding and smiling, and she's like, that's fascinating. And I was like, yeah, right. She's like, yeah. So you don't know? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I was your grandmother's therapist. So
Wow.
full circle.
Full
Wow.
circle.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
a big
I
surprise.
tengo para pelos everywhere.
I know. I know. Yeah. That was
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
And
I
and she's still someone that I keep very close to my heart. So yeah.
I had a similar experience. Like for me, my dad was my grandpa, and he was like that, like very serious with everybody, and everything. But he used to joke around me more. But I got to see that change. My grandpa had three different type of cancer. First skin cancer, the last one was colon cancer, and
Mhm.
um, the nurses in the hospital and everything, they were happy to see him because even when he was going through treatment, he was like happy and making jokes and trying to connect with people. And the last time, it was very, very powerful, and I think supporting for me because we will both were going through cancer treatment, and I don't think I would have been able to do it if he was not there, like holding my hand too, and sharing, hey, we just need to be positive. And I think he will have benefit more also of therapy. I don't think he saw it as an option, just like what you were sharing. It's a myth, and especially like for the Hispanic community, the Latino community, and for men specifically, right? It's a little bit more hard to talk about. Let's go to therapy.
Mhm.
But I am grateful that you're sharing that experience, and I can connect with the story too. But wow, how do we transition to another question? Let me see. Let me see.
Yeah, who can follow? Who can follow that one? This is a good start. So
I love
I
it.
tengo la lágrima aquí, by the way. So
Right, right.
I think that that resonates so strongly, especially because we are Latinos and because it is, I mean, the only therapy I got was la chancleta. So that, and I feel like that a lot of people can relate to that because
Mhm.
our parent, and I feel like I'm glad that right now we are moving into this new environment where it is okay to talk about therapy. It is okay to know that you're getting treatment, and it's not as taboo as before. But to hear that a grandmother was getting therapy, that's very powerful. Like that's just something that I wish that was available to my grandmother, right? Because
Yeah, that they were open to. Yeah.
yeah, she shaped my mom. So quickly, the only time that when I first heard about therapy was when I lost my brother in 2001.
Mhm.
And my mom was literally forced like to go to therapy because she was doing so bad. But for my dad, it wasn't even an option. So that's like the first time I hear of it, and I'm like, wow. But so much to unpack, in this episode, so let me reel it back. So, how has being bicultural shaped the way that you approach your work and understand others right now?
Well, that's a great question because the reality is that part of the change, right? Like I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, so I was exposed to one culture, right? And then, I moved to Delaware and everyone is like, oh, so in what states you've been living in? So like having to explain and having to keep making sense for people that that I'm Puerto Rican and I'm still I'm an American citizen, and like all that process was very interesting because some of the things that I noticed um was, for example, in meetings, like ways of communication, right? When I think about it, I always find it funny. Every job that I start, some of the intros or important information about me that I gave is like facts about me. Like I am, as much as as much as I want, I'm always going to be professional. I'm always going to be respectful, and yet I'm always going to be funny. So like I try to always be very warm. So just let me know, if in any moment you feel a certain way about it, and I've never had any issues with it. Now another thing that I try to explain, which is a very huge cultural clash, is like um if you send me an email and you want to consult something, I may not respond the email. I may show up at your door. So the first times that I will be like in my desk during internship or during fellowship, and I will get an email. I'll be like, oh, I'm on my way. And the person, that I respond, they'll be like, what? Why you? So it's one of the things that a lot of people enjoys, like and where I am right now, which I'm very proud to be part of. Even my boss, like I can see her face light up when she sees me, right? Because I like talking and be close to people. So that was a very huge deal because people were like, yeah, like next time, like you can answer an email. And I was like, yes, I also want to check in with you, because that's part of the idea of community that I have, even at work, right? So for some people, has always been difficult of like, like you just answer the email, and others are like, it shifts. So I've seen a lot of people, and I saw it in internship and fellowship. Well, they will like coming into my office and be like, "Well, you said that I can always come and check in with you instead of answering the email, right?" So I shift the way of communication in a way for the ones that were open to it, and the other ones I try to respect the boundaries and I just work through it, right? But that was something, and I also think that being in the room and being the one that speaks Spanish and having, being a bicultural person, it's always very interesting when it comes to alliance and advocacy, where I have to sometimes have the difficult conversations of like, hey, we may not see this because our culture says, and share the facts, right? And there's a lot of people that has discomfort or are confused about it, right? Not because they're negative about it. It's just that it's something that they don't understand. And I've had the opportunity to, psychoeducate a lot of people, colleagues, supervisors about the experiences. And many of them have been grateful because I think that if it gets to a point when we find ourselves you know, demeaning or, invalidating or minimizing or even pathologizing from a cultural perspective, I will be the one in the room that will say something because
Yeah.
I think that's a very important. We need to see the culture as an identity and not as part of a symptom or a criteria, especially in mental health.
And that is very powerful. I see it too, a little bit on my work, right? And especially like when we have big emotions, we tend to go with our natural language. We shift, and
Hmm.
having somebody that can understand
Hmm.
and deal with us, no matter if we're talking in English and Spanish, is really powerful. It makes that connection too, and it
Yeah.
helps the therapy process.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm grateful that you have that ability to help people, and meet with them and connect with them at that deep level. And I do have a question to go back with that, right? So I know you work with a wide range of experiences, right? Trauma, identity development, grief, and a lot more. What would you say is the heart of your mission when you're working with clients?
Okay. Um, I think that part of that it's sit with the person where they are. I
Mhm.
think that we use the word understand, right? And the reality is that we're never going to be fully able to understand someone, right? So knowing the story, um, learning about what you can see, right? And also what's in the closets that they have put 20 locks, right? Which when I sit with my clients, right, I always use the phrase, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Because if we don't, we're gonna have a sue, and that's not gonna be helpful for the therapeutic experience, right? And they're like, right?
Yeah.
It's hard, it's uncomfortable, right? And I'm the first one in the room to validate that. And I'm also the first one in the room to remind myself that I'm not in front of someone's number. I'm not in front of, of just a name. I'm in front of someone's story and experiences and also trauma and also grief and also, emotional struggles and emotional conflict, right? And I'm also, in the room with someone that has experienced a lot of darkness, a lot of silence, right? A lot of rooted intergenerational trauma, right? Which is one of the ones that are very difficult to sit with. So I'm not just with the client in the room, I'm with everything that makes the client. So I think that having a lot of compassion and walking alongside, right? I'm not holding their hand, right? I'm kind of the way that I see it, right? Talking about metaphors, I'm seeing it as I'm holding the map and they're telling me, right, where do they want to go? Because the reality is that a lot of people has the idea that they're coming to therapy for me to tell them what to do. And I'm always like, we're not doing that today. I mean, I hear you. Same as like, fix this. I don't have my magic one, and it's not that type of work, right? It's gonna take long for us to go through it. So I think that when I see therapy, which it feels me like emotionally, spiritually, and physically, like I really enjoy what I do. I'm really passionate and be grateful every day for what I do. I think about it from the perspective of I'm just gonna help you just learn how to experience, right, what
Yeah.
you are going through without naming it, labeling, or giving it into words, right? So I've had sessions where the clients are just in silence because they're processing their pain, and I just sit with there in silence. I've hugged clients. I share memes with clients. I've used sense of humor depending of how comfortable they are. I've also prayed with clients. So it's just where they are, that's where I'm gonna go. And if I need to open the window, right, I'm gonna do it slowly, but I am because I want them to see that, that this is just something transitional, right, and temporary, that they will be able to find the light. I have a client that says, like, one of the things that I love about you is that you're holding the flashlight while I'm walking through it. So that's how I see my work. And I really love having that opportunity, that privilege to.
Yeah, I love that, and it's true. Most of the time when we're going to seek therapy, we're looking for answers. We're looking for somebody to tell us what is like wrong with us or with the situations that we're going through, instead of unpacking it and see it, all the complexity of what it
Yeah.
is,
Hmm.
and how that complexity and external things can be also affecting the way that we see the problem or we see ourselves. So um, I'm really grateful about that work. I know your clients, when they see this session, they're gonna, love that you're sharing this part of you too. And that you're talking about that topic, because I think most of the people that go to therapy are looking for that, like, answers. Tell me what to do. I'm doing this wrong. I know, but how can I change it? Um, and it's difficult sometimes to sit with the problem and actually,
Hmm.
work on it. And having somebody that can bounce with you, ideas, hear you. Sometimes hearing yourself talking about it makes the click sometimes.
Hmm.
I catch myself once in therapy. I was explaining a whole problem, and I did this and I did that and everything. And then I was like, oh, that's why the person reacted that way.
The realization, yeah, it's like the
That's
aha moment.
let me not say anything else because she's going to put me on a list here. Oh
I
my
love
God.
I love the analogy that you used before of holding the flashlight. Like,
Mm.
just so that, to me, it's more like, let me hold the flashlight for you so that you can see the path that you can take. Not that so that I can tell you what you need to do, because maybe it's different for everyone, right? It's not
Mhm.
a one problem solves all. So can you share an example, of course, without any personal details, of a
Mhm.
moment where someone moved closer to their authentic self?
I know you have a lot of stories.
Yes, yes. Um, so there's a case that I work with in California, um, with this young person who went through bone marrow transfer, bone marrow transplant, and and the family was very, very extremely positive and very supportive. And sometimes when it was in a hospital, so when times when you come in the room, you're not just giving therapy to a patient, you're also giving therapy and support to the family. So I was very grateful of the team because it was a very complete integrated team. So everyone was able to, to support in any ways. Now I come in and there's this client who does not want to get out of the room and do anything. And it's, mad with the world because recently married and like dealing with this and and a lot of people that go through BMT like go through side effects and their bodies experience a lot of um difficult physical experiences and a lot of conflicts of side effects from it. So it's what they call the host host versus growth is something like that. I can't remember right now. So basically I come in and every nurse is like, the client does not want to see anyone. They just wants to be alone. So fast forward 3, 4 weeks, the only one coming in the room and the client is already waiting for me and coming out, right? And we're like walking. And the only thing that the client has committed is like, I'm just gonna walk with you and we're gonna talk. And I'm like, that's totally fine with me. Let's just do it. So we're just like walking and walking and walking. Fast forward 2 months, start getting very debilitating and getting a coma. And I am not ready for this, which is one of the things that you experience in psych oncology. Like you sit with people that are gonna die and they talk to you about the meaning of it, which is fascinating for me. So family is very concerned. And I have experience talking to this person for 2, 3 months about all the things that this person is grateful about, all the realizations, all of the aha moments. Actually, it's the person who helped me develop that because we're talking and they were like, uh-huh. And I was like, yes, and stay with me. So I have to come back and I have to support a family that is hopeful that this person is gonna come back and everything is gonna be okay. And I have to sit with the idea of like may or may not, right? So after 2 months comes back, right? And they're like, oh my, they're super hopeful. And I know that there's not a lot of hopes and this person is going to pass. And when I start discussing it with the patient and I say, like what do you want to focus on, that was the expression. It's like I want to continue being my authentic self, like giving everyone my authentic, the authentic, genuine, real me, and prepare everyone to see that even if I'm not even 30 and I'm dying, I'm still living my best life. And that for me, it was one of those cases that I will come home every day and I will cry because I have to sit with someone that knew they're gonna die and they're still showing up in their best authentic self. And I finished my fellowship. They died like 3, 4 months after I left, and I still have this letter that I got from his family after he passed, letting me know that they were not with us anymore, and that they were very grateful because they were able to see that shift, that that very bright smile of like knowing, I'm gonna die, and I'm still gonna be showing everyone the best of me, accepting that that this is how life uncertainty is, right? So that is one of the cases that has stick with me, and I can still see that face in my mind. I can still remember that, and it's something that I'm never gonna forget because it reminds me of living authentically, living, with purpose and on purpose, which is one of the things that I love saying, um, and how important and, and healthy it is.
It is. It is like,
That's an amazing story.
definitely. I appreciate that you're sharing that with us, and I know it will also make an impact on our listeners, our viewers. Um, Today I received a like an Instagram message. Somebody was sharing. I send messages to my friends and everything. Sometimes are memes, sometimes are jokes, and I have one friend from work that is always so nice, sending me like prayers, like good messages. And today the message was there was an actor that recently passed, and he was sharing what he was grateful and the shift that he went through in the process of knowing that he was going to pass, right? Like how he hold meaning to the title of being, an actor, and that will give a lot of, fulfillment at that time. And then shifting into the title of being a parent, of being a husband, and that how that fill his cup more, and he felt that that was his title, right? That was the best thing that he achieved, right? Even more than acting. And then sitting at the end of knowing that he was going to pass, the title of being a husband or a parent, it was not being fulfilled because he was not there to do everything that he was doing before, right? He was sick. He was not available to pick up the kids. He was not able to, be a husband all the time. And same with acting. And he had to really deeply reflect. And one of the things that he shared is that he understood that those titles were good and everything, but that God wanted him and loved him just for being, just for existing.
Mm-hmm.
And when he realized that it's just about, existing, being yourself, he was able like to connect on a deeper level with people and have that purpose, right? I'm here. Every day counts that I'm here. Um, God loved me. I'm here. I'm still with my people. I'm being myself, and that's what counts, and that's important. So it is a big shift. I hope that every day we keep that reminder, right? We're here every day. We are the best that we can be every day, and we are magical just because we're existing, right? We are existing in this place.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Oof. Deep. We went
I
deep.
thought I thought we were gonna say very like superficial, and you're like, no, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Yes,
Jesus.
gonna go deep today.
We do nothing halfway. We do it all the way.
We're not halfway. Oh my God. No. I love it. I love it. So you emphasize resilience,
Mhm.
rising again, right? How can someone begin to build resilience after a difficult life experience?
That I love resilience, and I love talking about the wrong concept that we have about it versus the raw, realistic one that will keep us, alive and present. There's a lot of there's a lot of misunderstanding about, you got to be resilient. You have to push through. No, totally, totally unhealthy. Totally, totally, completely dysfunctional. We're talking about recognition. We're talking about, not pretending that, that is fine, right? Which I hate the word fine. Like a client will come and be like, I'm fine. And I'm like, what is that? And they're like, what? I'm like, a fine is not a feeling. So we're gonna try again because I think it's important to, to sit with the feelings. And we're gonna sit with feelings sometimes here that it's gonna be very uncomfortable. And that's okay because that's part of the growth and the process. So we're gonna try again. And they're like, I have a client that I love working with that rolled their eyes, and I'm like, here we go, we're going somewhere, right? Because I know it's difficult, right? So I think that when we talk about resilience, it's just like we're gonna allow ourselves to feel what happened, which is like, well, feeling what happened, it's it's not always what we want, right? It's kind of like, can you tell me how to get from here to here? You
Yeah.
have to move through it, right? There's gotta be a trying to recognize the feelings, sitting with the feelings, processing the feelings, and then slowly understanding that I'm not gonna avoid the pain, right? I'm gonna learn, right? What do I need to do to move through it? And I think that sometimes we use resilient as, like a tapaboca, like you just gotta be resilient. And I don't think it's fair for us as humans to do ourselves that way, right? It's kind of like we talk about, can I sit with someone, right, and tell them that everything is gonna be okay? And people will say, like, of course, this is part of, caring for others. Awesome. When was the last time that you sit with yourself and do the same thing? Yeah, you're talking to me. We gotta do the same thing to ourselves that we do for others, right? And I think that resilience, it's a powerful thing to do, right? First, for us to do it. Not everyone, not everyone gets there, right? Because there's still a lot of things that we have to keep, we have to do before what we can do. It's try to get there, which that's the resilient, right? It's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Right. If it's harmful, then I take a step back and I look about what are the steps that I'm taking that are not helpful or healthy for us so I can change it. What are the things that I'm avoiding, right? Which avoidance, it's what we love. If I don't see about it, if I
It's our
don't think about
comfortable
it.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
Yeah.
let's avoid it. It's not
Yes.
happening if we don't talk about it, if we don't,
Yes.
point it out.
Mm-hmm. Like
It'll go away
when that
eventually.
exactly, because that's where the whole it's fine, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a divorce, but it's fine. I went through a loss, it's fine, right? Like my husband and I went through a loss a couple years ago, and like a lot of people were surprised that I was hurting, and I heard a lot of like, well, you're a therapist, right? Or it's going to be fine, right? Which again, fine is not my favorite word. Um, like you have the skills, right? Like if you stay in the feeling, right? And I think that the only way to go through grief, it's feeling. And I always tell clients, those different steps of grief, right? They can, you can go from denial, anger, depression, and you get to acceptance, and sometimes there's a setback, right? they're
Yeah.
not they're not in order, and they're not linear because healing is not.
Yeah.
So I think that when we're motivated, right, and we can see the importance of going and moving through it, that's where the resilience comes from. Because in denial, that's positivism. And I think that positivism is not
It's
healthy
masking
for
the
us.
problem. You're trying to
Mm-hmm.
avoid the conversation
100%.
of it, but not actually dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is just personally wanting to know when it comes to grief, right? So, like I mentioned before, 2001, I lost my brother. the grief that I'm going through is not the same grief that my mom has gone through, that my dad has gone through, that my brother has gone through, because the relationship was different between all of us, right? But would you say, in your experience, that there is eventual feeling healing in that? Because this is where I'm coming from. The fact that it still feels, all of these years later, like a complete ocean, right? The wave comes all of a sudden, it sucks you in, it whips you under the sand, you get scraped, you're trying to get back to the top, and then you finally get back to the top and you're like, okay, I think I can swim to shore. And you swim to shore, you get there, and you're kind of like, and you're just waiting kind of for that wave again to come. So in that instance, what, like, how do you handle that, like, in particular with grief, right? Because that's such a, I feel like that's such a, like, specific to the person, right? And you said something before, and it was to the fact that it's just, it's not the same. It's not, and fine is not a feeling. And don't, I can't tell you what you're feeling, because that's, those are your feelings, right? And I can show, I can, that I'm telling you, I'm going to use that a lot. That flashlight, that flashlight is like, thank you for
Yes.
that. Like,
Yes.
when do you take out the flashlight to help someone, and at what point? So give us try to unpack that, because I know I gave you a lot just now.
No worries.
But what tools, what can we use, because resilience is, you're right, that word is thrown around like, oh, I'm so resilient. Oh, the heck I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm a hot mess, and it's been a lot of years, and I deal with that, with the trauma that caused still, so give us a little bit.
Yes. So, you talk about something that there's a lot of talking about, like, misconception, right? We do not stop experiencing the pain because we care for that person. So I think that the pain shift into, because I love you, you know, I can keep moving on in life, and because I'm human, right? And you see how I didn't use but, because if I haven't said it yet, but is the word that I hate the most too. I don't hate a lot of things, but I do, right? Because it's kind of like, I love
Like
you.
dismissing, right?
Yes, 100%. Like, I love you, but I love you completely disappear, right?
Yeah.
So we're making space for both. We're making space for, it's hard, and I don't see life the same way because, a part of me it's not there. And it's kind of like, what's the phrase that I really hear a lot, which I found very beautiful, right? Like, grief, it's love that doesn't know it doesn't have where to go, right? And I may have butchered the phrase. And I think it's true, right? Like, I can sit with your feelings, right? I'm never going to understand them. And at the same time, like, I lost my dad, and I still cry for my dad. I still have dreams with him, and I wake up, remembering that he's not here. Now, he's not here, en el terreno, right? En el terreno,
Exacto. En lo
thank you.
físico,
Yeah, lo
terrenal.
físico. Yeah, I cannot see him and hear him, right? I can hit the videos and hear that. Now, I can also, right, when we go through the grief and we heal, we're able to continue moving forward, giving us the opportunity to embrace the grief when it shows up, right? Because I work with clients that, that they're just putting the grief in the closet. And they're like, well, I don't have time to think about it. And then, physical symptoms or somatic symptoms comes. Like, I cannot do this. And they're dysfunctional in different areas of their life. So you're avoiding something that you have to sit with, and you have to recognize that it hurts because you're human. Because last time I checked, all of us are. And everyone, right? And even there's studies, right? Research that shows that when we have a broken heart, or like something has hurt us so much, like our body, like, right? Like MRI, CT
Gets
scans, like they have
affected.
show. Yes. So it's important. It's kind of living both, right? Like I live through the grief, right? And with the grief, because I'm able to sit with the feelings, find ways to celebrate, right? That person that is so important in my life. And at the same time, right? I'm able to function because I can go to work, I can go out with my husband, right? I can play with my dogs. And when I think about my dad, right? Like that was the man of my life. So like not being able to see him and sit with him and talk with him and joke with him, right? I can still, see it in myself, which is hard because when I do certain things and I feel it, I will tear up because that speaks loud about the love that I have for him. I see it in my siblings too, and I'm like, "Ah, dang it, like that's him, right?" So we get that blessing of we can see them in certain areas. We can see them in our dreams, which is something that I love because he will show up in one of my dreams and start talking to me, right? Which I think it's part of my own nervous system healing through the grief, right? So we're never gonna stop not feeling sad. We're never gonna stop not experiencing. What we were going to be able to is being functional through it and make space for it. Because I can imagine that when you see certain photos, when you see certain videos, when his birthday comes up or the day that he passed, like you can think about those things and you will sit with the feelings, honoring those feelings and staying in, and staying with them. That's going to be part of the celebration of the grief, and also understanding that this is transitional, it is temporary.
I love that.
Hay algo que yo siempre expreso y lo pienso para mí misma también, like I think it to myself to help me with grief is that there's no pill, there's no amount of therapy that is going to heal us forever. It's not
Mm,
that, oh, I'm healed, that is going to disappear,
Yeah.
because we have, like you're sharing, what is, guys, that love that
mhm.
doesn't have a place to go, but we feel it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know we miss those moments. We want to share
Mhm,
certain moments with the person with that we are grieving, and we're not we can't, right? That person is not with us how we want it. um but having tools on working through our grief, I think it makes a difference, right? Like you just mentioned right now, celebrating your grief, right? That is a big shift because you can grieve and beat yourself down, or grieve and say, you know what, I have so much love. I have so
mhm,
many things that I want to share. I have so many things that I want to do because of this grief.
mhm.
How I'm feeling
Absolutely.
right now, it pushed me forward.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm not seeing it at the moment, right? At the moment, I want to cry. At the moment, I'm
yeah,
gonna, I just
yeah,
want to go through my emotions, to my,
yeah,
I want to be myself a little bit.
yeah.
But when you have those tools, when you have that light, right? It shifts. You are able to celebrate it because you see it like for what it is.
Yes,
It is a
yes.
big feeling, it's a big emotion, it's a uh, big experiences that you want to do, and you feel that way because of the love that you have for that person. So it
100%.
makes you push yourself forward. Like,
Hmm.
I want to do things. I want to do more experiences. I want to love deeper because this person is not here, and look all the love that I have right now, right? And all the things that I want to
Hmm.
share and keep doing. Um, and it pushed people forward. But therapy and it helps sometimes shedding
Yes.
some light on that part that we're not able to dig out of that hole, um, because we sometimes people don't have the tools of identifying what I need to do, and feeling our feelings in a healthy way, right?
Yeah.
um, so thank you for sharing that. I
Of
Yeah, and
really
course.
I'm sorry
appreciate
I'm
it.
sidetracked us, but I think that it
No.
just
No,
it brings
this is
it
great.
it reels us right back just because I think that's such a deep topic, right? And
Hmm.
so and it doesn't matter at what stage, right? That's I feel like that's one of the
Yes.
ones that is just so like you can just dig and just never get to an end
100%.
to it. But thank you for sharing that. And you weren't very off. Is grief is just love with no place to go or
There you
nowhere
go.
to go.
That
So
was very
I
close.
had to
Yes.
I had to look it up because I haven't heard it. So I'm like, ooh, I love this. Let me look it up. You weren't far from it. So thank you for sharing. I'm
Of
telling you,
course.
I'm leaving with a flashlight and a quote.
There you go.
Love it. Love it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't wait. Like, we should drop this tomorrow. No editing. Let's go.
No worries, no worries. I know, Waleska, you will be joining us for various sessions this
Hmm.
year. What topics are you most excited to explore with our listeners?
Oh, okay. Communication. Because I
Yes.
always said you cannot love anyone if you don't have good communication. And people are like, what? Especially couples, they'll be like, we don't fight. And I'm like, go and fight. That's the first assignment because you need to communicate. So, communication, one of my favorite topics. Vulnerability. We don't talk a
Yes.
lot about it. We're so afraid of it. And I think it's so powerful to be vulnerable. Um, I think that we should talk about intimacy, not just, not just from a sexually perspective, right? There's so much more about intimacy that we don't talk a lot. I think that we should talk about inner child. We should talk about, intergenerational trauma. Um, I have so many topics. I will
Oh,
just,
we can
yes.
wait. We can wait.
Be careful because we'll bring you every week. You'll be on rotation over
Ya
ladies, you
la
know.
doctora Waleska tiene una sesión oficial con She Hustles. Uh, we're going to put an email. You can write
Yeah.
us. Maybe we can talk about whatever you want to talk with Dr. Waleska, and we can share each other, make you part of the conversation.
Yes.
That I'm like, oh, I did. I don't want it to end. Let's start the timer.
Oh
Um,
my God.
Doctora Wallesca, le queremos dar muchísimas gracias por compartir tu tiempo y tu sabiduría con nosotros. Eh, Quédense con nosotros porque vamos a tener muchas cosas de qué hablar. Esta conversación es muy importante para la comunidad y muy importante para todos, ¿verdad? No solamente la comunidad latina, pero todas las personas que aquí en nosotros, aunque sea una persona, si alguna persona nos escucha, if there's one person that hears us, that's just enough for us. We've done what we are here to do, right? It's just to help someone, right? So thank you so much for being with us.
Yes,
Gracias a ustedes por
thank
invitarme.
you. Thank you for bringing such heart and insight into this conversation. We said it was going to be a light conversation, but we went deep. And we know our listeners will walk away feeling encouraged to
Yeah.
rise again. And definitely, we are looking for more conversations with you and different sessions that we're going to have throughout the year. So we can bring awareness of this big topic and take it out of the taboo list, right? Let's work on ourselves and heal. And like we say on the intro, right? Rise again.
Yes, amazing. So stay tuned, everybody, with She Hustle. We have a lot of amazing sessions that are coming up this season. So hasta la próxima.
Hasta la próxima.
Cómo decir y qué decir y cómo ser feliz. Me quiero ver libre y decidiendo mi camino como Rick and G. La Nina Simon en el soul de aquel país. ¿Sabes lo que digo? She, Shehul es la manera en cómo dejaremos huella en el honor a la mujer que somos por